Imagine a bidding war so intense it has these tech giants just totally going at it. They're all vying for control over one of the, I mean, I think we can say most talked about technologies like ever. And today we're doing a deep dive into the world of OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. But there's a pretty big twist.
Yeah. It's a scenario that's got everyone talking, for sure. I mean, Elon Musk, right? He co-founded OpenAI, and now he's leading this group trying to, well, buy the company he helped to create.
It's kind of like, I don't know, a movie or something.
Right.
So his group, they're offering a ton of money, like $97.4 billion for all of OpenAI's assets, and they've got big names backing them up. Baron Capital Group, Valor Management. These aren't small players.
No, not at all. And what's interesting is how Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, he's responded. OpenAI is not for sale, he says. The company's not for sale, neither is the mission. Pretty strong words.
Yeah, it's a real standoff. But why is he so set on getting OpenAI back? What's the motivation here?
Well, he said he wants to return the company to its roots, focusing on open source development, making AI safe. He's even talked about making Grok, his own AI, open source, and about, protecting content creators' rights.
So it's kind of like he's saying this isn't what we set up to do in the first place, right?
Exactly. And we can't forget, OpenAI, they made this big shift, right? They went for profit, and that created a lot of tension with Musk, which eventually led to him leaving in 2018. So I think this bid, it's almost like a direct reaction to that, trying to regain control and steer OpenAI back towards, his vision.
Yeah, this isn't what we were supposed to do. And here's where it gets even more, well, fascinating, I think. OpenAI has this unique structure. It's got a nonprofit controlling the for-profit part. And that makes things really tricky if someone's trying to buy it.
Right. Try to figure out what the nonprofit's assets are worth, like a fair value if you were to switch everything to for-profit. That's a huge point of contention for Musk's group. One of their lawyers even said, who on earth would make that trade, suggesting that the nonprofit could end up getting a really raw deal.
So you've got these clashing visions, a really messy corporate structure, and then you've got billions of dollars on the line. And let's not forget the history between Musk and Altman, right? They haven't exactly been quiet about their disagreements.
They've clashed very publicly. Musk criticized OpenAI's direction, even went as far as filing lawsuits, though those were dropped later. But it's clear he was, and probably still is, very unhappy about that for-profit transition. He's even accused Altman of, tricking him into starting the nonprofit in the first place.
Wow. Things are getting personal. Okay, but what does OpenAI say about all this?
Well, they've said going for profit was absolutely necessary to get funding to become a sustainable company. And they've actually released emails that, suggest Musk was interested in a for-profit structure earlier on and even a potential merger with Tesla.
So they're saying, hey, you were on board with this before.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a lot to unpack here. We've got these strong personalities, these conflicting visions, and it's not just about them, right? It's about the future of AI. What direction do we want it to go in?
Absolutely. It's a huge question. It really makes you think, about what happens next with AI? Where does it go from here? What does this whole power struggle even mean for how AI develops?
Right. It's the big question, isn't it? Is this about control, dominance? Is there, I don't know, a deeper, more ideological conflict? Are we talking about profits or the future of AI itself?
I think when OpenAI shifted to for-profit, it definitely ruffled some feathers. I mean, some argued that it could put, commercial interests ahead of ethical ones. And then there's the concern that this super advanced technology could end up in the hands of just a few powerful players. Musk's bid, with its emphasis on open source, you could see it as a direct response to those fears.
So there are these huge philosophical questions. But okay, let's get practical for a second. ChatGPT, DALL-E, these tools, I mean, they have the power to change so much. Whoever controls OpenAI, they have a lot of say in how those technologies are developed and who gets to use them.
Exactly. Think about research, education, even art and entertainment. It's a lot. The consequences of this battle could really be felt for years to come.
And we haven't even talked about geopolitics. AI is already being used in the military, surveillance, all sorts of things. This isn't just a tech world issue.
It's a reminder that technology, it's never neutral, right? It reflects the values, the interests of the people who create it and who control it. This whole OpenAI situation, I mean, it's a perfect example of that.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads. Which path do we take? Is AI development going to be driven by profit or by trying to do some good in the world? Will these technologies be available to everyone or just to a select few?
Those are the questions, right? The questions we need to be asking ourselves. And the answer is, they're still being figured out.
It's a high-stakes game for sure, and we're all watching to see what happens next. One thing's for certain, though. The outcome of this whole battle is going to have a massive impact on AI and on all of us. But there's this other interesting angle here, the financial side of things.
Yeah, $97.4 billion. That's a lot of money, no question. But you got to put it in context, right? Think about what OpenAI has been valued at in previous rounds. Like recently, it was $157 billion, and some are saying SoftBank might value it at $300 billion. So that offer, it might not be enough.
It seems like we're just at the beginning of something much bigger.
I think so. It's not just the money that's interesting, it's what this whole thing means for AI development. Where's it headed?
Right. Imagine if the most powerful AI tools were just like available to anyone. What would that do to research, education, even global power dynamics? That seems to be what Musk is aiming for.
OpenAI, though, they're saying that for profit is the only way to stay competitive and get the resources to develop AI responsibly.
So you have these open source ideals versus the commercial reality. It makes you wonder, can you really have ethical AI development if profit is the main goal?
That's the million-dollar question. And then you throw in the fact that OpenAI has this unusual setup, a nonprofit controlling the for-profit arm.
Yeah, like there's a nonprofit board looking over the for-profit side. It's supposed to make sure that the organization's mission and ethics stay front and center, even if they're making money.
But that structure also creates a problem if someone wants to buy the whole thing. How do you put a price tag on the nonprofit side? What's its worth in a completely for-profit model?
It's enough to confuse the experts, right? Some are saying the nonprofit's role could be seriously undervalued in a transition like that.
Which brings us back to the heart of the matter, right? Musk, with his whole open source thing, he sees OpenAI's for-profit move as a betrayal of what they originally wanted to do.
He thinks that by giving everyone access to these technologies, you can make AI development more collaborative, less centralized, and that could help avoid some of the risks and, maybe benefit society more broadly.
OpenAI's argument is that they need the for-profit model to attract investment, to get the best people so they can actually stay ahead in the AI game.
They're saying we need to be in control to make sure AI develops in a good way.
Exactly. So you've got these different visions, these personal clashes, the money aspect, and then, the bigger ethical questions about AI.
It's a story that's still being written. We don't know how it's going to end, but we're definitely going to keep following it. What we can do now, though, is keep asking those hard questions, keep the conversation going. It's like, watching this high-stakes chess match, but the pieces are like algorithms and data sets. And every move has these huge consequences out in the real world.
The decisions they're making right now in this battle, they could determine like the entire future of AI. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the path we choose as a society.
Right. And we started this deep dive looking at the money, billions of dollars. But it really comes down to, what is AI about? What should it be? Musk's vision, open source collaboration, or OpenAI going for the big bucks?
It makes you think about innovation, too. Does the for-profit model, does it hold back creativity? Does it make these amazing technologies harder to get? Or is it the only way to get the resources, the motivation to really make progress? I mean, there are good points on both sides.
Yeah, it's tough. There's no easy answer, but we have to talk about it, right? As a society, think critically about AI, the good and the bad, and who gets to decide where it goes.
This whole OpenAI thing, it's a wake-up call, I think. We can't just sit back and let technology do whatever. We have to be involved, ask the hard questions, hold those in power accountable.
So what now? What happens next? I mean, the battle for OpenAI, it's not over. We'll be keeping an eye on it, that's for sure. But we can't just wait and see. We got to keep those tough questions coming. Keep this conversation alive.
The future of AI, it can't be decided in secret. It affects us all, so we all need to be part of it, talking about it, thinking critically. That's how we can, deal with the complexity and try to create a future where AI is a good thing for everybody.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into the OpenAI saga. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.